Hello and welcome to Divinely Empowered with Antonia. Today we have Julia Paulette Hollenbery, who is a mystic healer, an author, a teacher, and somebody who really focuses on living from the body. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Antonia.
Hi. Okay, so what does that mean to you, living from the body? Let's explore that.
So we live in this crazy modernity under all this crazy distractions and pressure. And of course, under those circumstances, we rise up and into our mental thoughts. But life really takes place here in our body. And I guess I want to encourage people to return and return to the deliciousness and the wisdom that's here in all of our bodies.
How does one do that?
It's a great question, right? If only it was just like super easy and the answer and boom, boom, boom. It's a question of intention and of practice, of relocating our attention from being out there and in the future and in the past, bringing our attention back here again and again and again. And then noticing that it's fun to feel here and it's useful to feel here. It's empowering. So it becomes a practice.
So is it similar to mindfulness or is it quite different?
There is awareness, right? Yes, there is awareness, but the practice is returning again and again and again to sensing the body. How are my feet right now? How's my bottom right now? How are my shoulders? Where's tense? Where's numb? What information is contained or encoded in something? Oh, did I realize that actually I'm walking lopsided, or my shoulders are lopsided, or my head is tense, or my head is poked forward? So there's an awful lot to find out about ourselves. Not in a mental way, right? But in a real sensual, kinesthetic, embodied, somatic, delicious, wise way.
So what does a typical session look like with you then?
Well, that's fun. It's a combination of conversation. There is, of course, the alchemy of the energy exchange between us. I guess I read people's bodies, so there's a lot of information, and I might ask a few questions to clarify what's going on in the body, what's going in the life, what would they like to be different. And then I would work with my hands, with touch, but it can also be other kinds of interventions that bring somebody much more present. I often wish that I took photographs before and after, because we know that the real work, the good work, all the different kinds of healing and spiritual work, somebody looks more handsome or more beautiful afterwards, right? That's the signifier that something good is happening.
I've never considered that. They look more handsome or more beautiful after a session. Is that because they're radiating more light, I would think, or is it something else?
No, I guess that's one way to say it. Definitely. It's like being more present. Much more energy is available. And we can see it. I see it after an hour session. I can see it through a retreat. I can see it through years, right? You can see. And it's on us, right? Come on, where does our shininess come from? But from our own inner work, right?
Yeah, you do get brighter and brighter. I think that that really enlightening or enlightenment. I think enlightenment is such a. I'm very cautious of the word enlightenment. I only think very well. 160,000 Tibetans actually had it in written history. But you know, there's the people who can do instant healing of everything. You know, Jesus, Buddha, all those very, very advanced people. So I say enlightening rather than enlightenment because I think it's it's a long way away from everybody, really. But I think enlightening, but it's light cultivation. So the thing is, enlightening is light cultivation, which means you have more light within you. So then you're more radiant. So the people who've done spiritual work, interestingly, look like they are radiating light. And what's really strange, though, is celebrities also look like they're radiating light. But what's happening is it's normally people are throwing so much photons, like love and light towards them, that it's actually bouncing off them and then reflecting back like a mirror. So it's really interesting when you see a celebrity, because they can look extremely radiant, but rarely have they done the inner work, which actually it's coming from outwards. So you do look more, yeah, I agree. The more work you've done, the lighter you have. I think yoga practice opens up your light as well as all different healing modalities. So yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, and going back to enlightenment, there is no single point to attain to. It is this ongoing process, right?
I think I'm funny about that. I think that when you've got mastery of solid, liquid, gas, where you can change the form of matter, so you can literally go gold bar or flower in your hand, or you can instantly dissolve diseases. That's my point of enlightenment. I think once you've got that, you are enlightened. And then there may be other levels, but I think that's the point. When you become enlightened, in my mind, it's very difficult to get there, but that's enlightenment to me. So, and not before then. It's an enlightening until you pass that point. Then you can say you're enlightened in my own way of thinking. It's a high pass grade.
Fair enough.
So what do you think about the light cultivation? And any more on that?
I think that all the work, my work, your work, all the works, all the genuine works. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of not genuine things out there with the label spiritual on it, right? But
do you think that's done on purpose? Or do you think they've got bad tools, or do you think they are nefarious?
Ooh. That it takes us into such a much bigger conversation. I don't know about going there right now. But what I do know is that the real work works, and that clears us, and the light is undeniable. You can see people on the train who are shiny, right? Someone can be still and silent, not saying anything, but it's visible, right? It's palpable. The light is, well, we love it. I'm grateful for it. Yeah.
So you think there are maybe there are dark forces. The thing is, it's funny. Someone was, I was saying this joke the other day. Someone was saying, "Are you spiritual?" And I just joked back and said, "Demons are spirits too."
Yeah, I mean, it's become a label these days. Many things, not everything that glitters is gold, I would say. But we care about gold, right? We care about quality.
I'm obsessed with gold.
I love gold too. I enjoy wearing it and having it at home. And it speaks of real value, right?
But wonder why that is, because I was just listening. I think it was Joe Rogan who was talking about gold. It was the other day. And he was saying he didn't really understand why we're so attracted to gold, because it's not that useful. Other metals like iron, you can actually build hard wearing things out of it. It's actually, because it's such a soft metal, it isn't that useful for making things which are important, like tools and things like that, or, whatever tools that you need there. It would be bloody useless at that. And why is it that we're so attracted to gold? And was it because of this Anunnaki stuff, and that their atmosphere was destroyed and they needed gold to rebuild their atmosphere, is what they say about it. But why is it that it became so valuable when actually it's not that useful of a metal? Maybe it's the vibration of it, or maybe it's it's not actually practically that useful apart from being pretty. So what is that about?
Yeah, but beauty has a value, doesn't it? Truth.
Not when you're starving. I mean, the thing is, if you are starving, it does, absolutely, and I'm all about it. But it was valued more than something of practical value, like a tool, like something you can make a spear out of that you can actually hunt from, or, gold isn't that useful, but we're so attracted to it. And I wonder why that is.
I don't know.
It's interesting though, because it actually it's not practical. And you'd thought, especially in days gone by, that we wouldn't be so obsessed with beauty. If you're starving, then beauty seems to be less, or maybe it's as important or more important because you've got something to hold on to. But I wonder if the vibration of gold is something that everybody can sense and it pulls you in somehow.
I don't know. I wonder if there is a real nourishment that comes, of course there is, from spirituality, from real work, from real beauty. I mean, all sorts of civilizations have cared to decorate their temples and their buildings carefully. And I think there's a real difference between, you were talking about celebrities before, and fake prettiness and all that's fake to try and look in a certain way, to try and gain a certain response from other people, as opposed to something that's genuine and authentic and shines, right? Whether it's a building or a person or a civilization. Let's dream. Wow.
Looking forward to that happening. The rise of New Atlantis. Yes. Seem to be a way away from it at the moment. We're still very brutal at the moment. But do you think the world's changing? Do you think we're going into the new golden age? And we're calling it the golden age as well, which is interesting.
Again, I don't know. I really don't. What I do see, though, is tremendous amounts of polarization and untruth and drama. And I think that we are all co-creating moment by moment. So we are responsible for what's going to come next, aren't we?
I think it's going to be good. I don't know. I mean, I wonder if it's true that everything's going to split and we're going to end off on two totally different trajectories. One with the sort of war-torn things and one with the higher vibration. I don't know. That's one of the ideas, isn't it? That we're going to be splitting the 3D and the 5D.
Oh, there's so many ideas around. I mean, I find it actually unbelievable how many different versions of reality, stories about what's going on there are out there. Like, there's so many, they can't all be true.
Well, but I mean, what is true? It's really interesting if you think about memory recall. We don't even remember our own things that have happened. You know, they've done, you know, for example, I'm listening to a book at the moment called The Body Keeps a Score, and it's talking about memories and recall. And it was after people had a traumatic experience. Was what?
Written by Bessel van der Kolk.
You are correct. So what's really interesting about that is he's talking about people who've had loads of trauma, like they had, I think a lot of them were sexually assaulted, and they were writing about it or giving a description of it very soon after they'd had this awful experience, and then years later, and they didn't remember half of it. They changed the details in their mind. Like, our memories are not very good, and we actually, as we move on with things, we forget some of the terrible details that have happened, which is probably quite helpful for us. But if people have like PTSD, then they remember it very, very vividly, and if they've actually healed from it, then the memory fades completely. So our memories are completely rubbish and non-factual and not to be relied upon. I mean, even if you compare things with your siblings, or even if you just retell the same story again and again, it's Chinese whispers. And we make things up constantly without realizing.
It's true. It's really true. I mean, thank goodness in terms of childbirth, right? But the police know that eyewitness accounts, different people will tell different accounts of what's just happened. We're wired to make stories. We're wired to tell stories. Doesn't mean it's the truth. But we can be resonant with what's truthful. That's how we can tell, coming back to the body, right? That's how we can tell what's truthful, because it rings truthful in us. Over here, we'll have a sense that something is right and good, or we'll have a sense that something is off. Our body is, I would say, our navigating tool. It is our antenna. And that's how we can discern from all of these different narratives what's right. Now, because we all have different nervous systems, because we've all lived through different things, and our nervous system is wired in a different way, some of us are more drawn to this than to that, and we'll find this news story or this explanation more resonant than that. We'll get caught up in this group rather than that.
How do we attune that to be? How do we attune the discernment through the body?
Great question. I would say, no, it is. That's the heart of the matter, right? Is coming back again and again and again and listening to those vibrations in a way, paying attention to it. Because we are normally jumped out of ourselves, distracted, and all the other aspects of modernity, we just don't notice what's happening here. So again, the more we bring our attention back here, the more we ground ourselves, really ordinary practical things, the more we ground ourselves, feet on the earth, good order at home, basic things, sleep, food, social networks, the more we ground ourselves in the body, the more we practice noticing the responses in our body, the more we become a fine-tuned instrument, the more we become light-filled, to refer back to that, and the more, truer and golden we become. And of course, healing is a part of that. Of chipping away the false, shedding the false, and coming back to the truth of our body, our flesh, our bones, our cells, our organs, our soul, our heart.
Beautiful. So you've written a book. Tell us all about it.
I will show it to you. This is not finding where the camera is. This is the Healing Power of Pleasure, 7 medicines for rediscovering the innate joy of being.
So what's it about? Tell us all about it.
It is about the universe of deliciousness. And the universe of deliciousness is a bliss-filled reality. It is waiting for us to discover it, basically. And mystics have known about it throughout centuries. And it's really not that very far away. So the book is a journey to invite people to inhabit their own universe of deliciousness, to inhabit more fully their body, their lives, their relationships. And it's a journey from the mess of modernity to the magic that is possible. Magic is another word we could exchange for light or gold. And it's a journey through the 7 medicines. I call them paradigm shifting medicines.
What are the 7 medicines
they are
then?
Practical medicines. They are slow body depth, relationship, pleasure, power, and potency. And I still love saying them, right? It still gives me delight. It is a real journey.
Great. So, well, do you want to tell us a bit about each one of those 7?
Sure. So slow is slowing down, slowing out of. We were just talking about stories in the mind, untruth, slowing down out of our to-do lists, out of our ideas, out of our opinions. And as I've said already a few times, coming back into contact with the body. Why does that matter? It matters so that, if you like, the vibration of the mind and the vibration of the body can be unified at a similar rate, because very often our bodies are slow and our minds are super fast. They're living in different places. So the medicine of slowing is about coming into unity.
Beautiful.
The medicine of body is really welcoming ourselves. Very often when we think about our own body, we are so full of self-criticism and judgment. We're not like him and we're not like her, and we ought to be this and we ought to be that. But it's coming back to notice the specificity, actually, of our own flesh, of welcoming, embracing, settling into our own body. And actually, it's a pretty radical thing to do, right? In this, in this civilization, it's pretty radical to come back to our body.
For most people, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Depth is about opening up to realizing, as we have been talking about a bit here already, that there is a great deal more going on than we are usually aware of. There's this tremendous depth. Everything is imbued with light and with life. It's not just a table, if you like, or a chair, or a computer, or a wall. Depth is, about opening up to the wonder, actually, of life. I mean, when we look at astrology or astronomy or biology in any great detail, we see that these universes open up. It's not just the sky. There's like tremendous amounts going on. And we look under a microscope at a cell, and there's, again, entire universes there. So there's an awful lot. In a way, we could say that the medicine of depth is about becoming humble. Again, dropping out of the arrogance of mind, the arrogance of I'm right and you're wrong. And again, the stories that we tell. I'll continue.
Keep going. I'm fascinated.
Slow body depth. So relationship is about not only skills and techniques and information for relating well with other human beings. It's also about opening up to the multiplicity of relationships that we're already in. We're already interconnected, and we tend to think that we're all these separate, isolated units, and that we have to try very hard to get into relationship or out of relationship with somebody. But actually, the truth is we are already in this multiplicity of relationships with the tree outside and the birds in it and the dustman clearing the rubbish outside and the carpet. When you've had real experiences of relationship with these things, I can feel it in the heart, and we realize that we're not alone, and that aloneness brings us a lot of anxiety, makes us grabby when it comes to our relationships with each other. So, and again, in our rush and push and pull of modernity, we tend to treat each other as objects, not really seeing the freshness of the person in front of us, the uniqueness, the individuality of this person right now, and of us uniquely right now. So yeah, lots of deliciousness in relationship.
Certainly.
And of course, after relationship, what can come next is even more deliciousness and fun and pleasure that we create together. Slow body depth, relationship, pleasure. Pleasure is the alchemy that we create together, that we co-create together, right? We're having a conversation. There is a certain fizz between us, right? That's the fun of our interaction. Intimacy, obviously, contains a richness of pleasurableness that comes from sensitizing, really being in contact with our own body and with feeling safe with each other. So from the container of relationship, we are able to deepen even more into the deliciousness of pleasure. And pleasure is a nourishment. It's definitely a nourishment for life. It's definitely a resource for us. Yeah, it's a delight. Slow body depth, relationship, pleasure, power and potency are the last two medicines. So power is actually not what we conventionally think of as powerfulness, muscles, armies, power over each other. The real power lies in our authenticity and our willingness to be vulnerable. There is tremendous power in staying aligned, true to ourselves, true to our hearts. That's when we're really seated in ourselves. That's when we're really at home in ourselves. We're not pretending, nothing to defend, nothing to show off. It's cool. So personal power. And potency is getting out of the way so that the universe can co-create through us, with us. It is being in our neutrality. People talk about, many traditions talk about not being attached. It is finding that neutral place. And in the book, there's lots and lots of what I call integrative technologies for coming into this central zone. And that's where the magic happens. And again, ancient wisdom, nothing new. And we need to be reminded of it. It's not only left or right, it's occupying the center, if you like, and having a good perspective.
Amazing. That's wonderful. Do you have any techniques that you can share with our audience now that they can use, or breathing? I don't know what exactly your techniques entail, but is there anything that you can share?
Oh, there's, I mean, loads. The book has
What's a good one for people to be able to practice at home?
Sure. The book has over 50 practical exercises. Let's think what might be good right now. How about a little wiggle on our chairs, especially of the lower body? You and I are sitting in our chairs, looking formal and conventional and professional, as we do for doing what we're doing. And other people, no doubt. So let's start to wriggle our pelvises. Right?
They're probably laying down, watching it on their phones. Hello, people laying down, watching it on your phone.
Laying down. And if we're laying down, let's really allowing ourselves to enjoy our own body, right? It's private. Have a wiggle. Now I'm moving my pelvis. It can be backwards and forwards and side to side. It can be slow or fast. And there you go. There's just a little touch of niceness, sweetness, goodness, right? Nice feeling to illuminate our day, right? Genitals are spiritual.
Okay. Do you want to expand on that? That was quite the statement.
Spirituality is not something that's dissociated from us. It's not something separate from us. It's not in the sky. It is absolutely right here. Our sensitive bodies with this exquisitely sensitive nervous system, right? We are primed, we're wired, we're ready for exquisiteness, for blissfulness, for peacefulness. It happens when we relax. Right? And our sex and love are not separate. Again, modernity has divided, separated, but actually we are unified, one unified being, right? This lovely body and being and soul and heart and sense. And when, yeah, genitals and love is part of the same.
Nice. Beautiful. All right. So have you got any events upcoming that people may be able to work with you at?
Yes, I am teaching 2 retreats in Greece in September. On the beautiful island of Skiros, I'm teaching September 1st to the 8th, and September 1st to the 7th and 8th to the 16th. We will be deeply exploring the universe of deliciousness.
Ooh.
So that will be great fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that obviously will be in sunshine, unlike the grey skies and coldness of the current British summer.
It was delicious yesterday. It was just beautiful. Was it beautiful for you?
I think yesterday was patchy here in London.
Oh God, it was absolutely gorgeous here in Cornwall. We had such a lovely time.
Anyway, our retreat will be delicious.
I bet.
Yeah, we will journey together. We will, there are many exercises together. We will deepen, we will expand, we will have fun. Yeah, into the universe of deliciousness amongst the fig trees and the olive trees and the sparkling blue ocean and a good community of people and fresh food. I think it's going to be great. Yeah, and details are on my website, blah, blah.
Which is universeofdeliciousness.com. Okay.
Isn't that a great website?
I like it. I like the sound of it. It's wonderful. So, okay, before we close, have you got any final words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Final words of wisdom. I want to say something about how the world is definitely bumpy right now. It's bumpy out there. We are definitely going through not easy times. And the best thing that I can invite people into is back to their body, to trusting their body, to trusting themselves, to making sure they definitely have enough rest, enough sleep as the basic, for returning to the deliciousness of the body as a nourishment, as a resilience, as a source of information that will help them and us all to navigate our way through these bumpy times. Body matters. The material world is imbued by the invisible world, imbued by light, right? To use your language. And what matters is paying attention to the material, to the body, to the earth, to the washing up, to the jobs that need to be done. Being fully present with it, and then we can access what needs and wants to reach us, and then together we will co-create the beautifulness. You called it the golden age that is incoming. May we together co-create something very beautiful.
I look forward to it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Julia. What a lovely, illuminating conversation this has been. Thank you very much for joining me today. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Antonia.
Thank you. Bye.